It's July 3rd, 2024. I'm Matthew 𝐃𝐨𝐬, the author of 2 books, Unstoppable and Juggling the Issues, talking about living with autism. And on this channel and elsewhere on social media, my main message is mainly autism awareness, acceptance, inclusion. And sometimes I have to talk about things based on my interpretation and what I'm observing, and just trying to make the world a better place where there's more inclusion and more awareness of us and more acceptance of us who have a disability and we never asked for a disability. So I just spent the past 2 wonderful hours tutoring a couple of students in math over by the OC Public Library in Costa Mesa by Lions Park. And I arrived just a little bit early, and as soon as I arrived, there was a few students that kind of came up to me, and that's because I subbed for them before at 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 Elementary and Mariners Elementary. And then there's a person behind, a lady that walked up, and she remembered me speaking for the, I believe, the PTA meeting at Newport Harbor High School, because I'm willing to do volunteer assemblies talking about autism awareness, acceptance, and inclusion all at my expense. And I've spoken to just under 9,000 students so far in Orange County the past couple of years, and 500,000 more to go. And we talked for about a minute, and then we said goodbye, and they were leaving, and one of the girls was like giving me a fist bump and said like see you later and everything. Stuff like that has been going on for the past couple of years, ever since I became a student teacher in 2022. And I can't tell you the thousands of times, I even said this in my second book, there's been thousands of times when a lot of students are saying hello to me, like hi Mr. 𝐃𝐿𝐴 and everything. In fact, just a few blocks ago, the same thing happened. There's a car that was coming by, and a student in the passenger was saying, hey, Mr. 𝐃𝐿𝐴, and was waving. In fact, yesterday at the same corner, about like 30 seconds from each other, there were 2 independent cars in which were students, and they're just like waving or saying hi to me. And that happens a lot. But admittingly, there has been a couple of times when people did not know the context. So you can imagine that after we left, I started to go toward the library. And so I started to circle around the library because I wasn't sure if they got there early too. So I was going to see if I could find them. And when after I turned down one facade, I looked over, and in my periphery I saw a security guard just bolt around the corner. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, it's like 1 in a million. And I continued to go around the library, and so I went to the front of the library and I sat down right in front of the doors on like a little bench there. And then a few minutes later, that same security guard came over and sat next to me and said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah, go ahead. And he starts asking me some personal questions like, okay, what's your name? And I said, Matthew. And so he started to call me by my first name. It was very cordial, you know, to his credit. But he started to ask, okay, where am I from? Where do I live? What do I do? And all that. And I'm like, okay, I live in Costa Mesa, born in Anaheim. He asked me how old I was. I said 29 years old. He asked me if I had any children and maybe if I was married. I said no. And then he started to turn the questions around and audaciously ask me, okay, so why was I talking to those kids? And I'm like, I'm their substitute teacher. I'm a substitute teacher in this district, and they recognize me. I mean, you were standing right there. I saw you standing right there, and like, didn't you hear the conversation and see how cordial and friendly it was? I mean, I didn't say that, but you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, be nice, and I am, and I believe I do that, and I cordially answered his questions and such. And then the next thing I remember, he got up and started to walk away, and I asked him what his name was. He turned around and said, I'm security guard. Have a nice day, or something, and he just left. So I continued to sit there, and by this point I was still a few minutes early, and all of a sudden he comes by again and says, hey Matthew, could I ask you another question? Why am I hanging out with all these kids in the park and all that? Or he asks something like that, and I'm like, I didn't. I'm walking around the library, which is adjacent to the park. To backtrack a little bit, I was talking to the group of people, and then I basically cut all the way across the park, didn't stop or anything like that. I went one time around the library, and then sat at a bench right in front of the library, and that was it. And then he comes over, and then he began to purport that other people started to feel uncomfortable when I was walking, as if I, you know, was just standing there awkwardly in the middle of a playground. I wasn't even in the playground. He didn't say that, but that's kind of how it sounded like. And I'm kind of a bit like a normal looking person, or at least I try to be. I know I have autism, that's kind of why I look like this. And I was making a loop around the library, and I sat down, and that was it. And to tell you the truth, there were a ton of people there coming from all areas, from the park side and from the other side and all around. He also asked me what I was doing there. I said I was tutoring 2 people. I said I did the same thing last Friday. I'm going to do the same thing this Friday too. And I'm like, there are so many other people who are walking by and around the park and the library all the way around, and absolutely no offense whatsoever, but you know, there's a lot of homeless people and homeless looking people over there, and my heart goes out for them, and I have helped the homeless and continue to want to help the homeless. But at the same time, why was I viewed as suspicious, basically. And I'm not saying that the homeless people should be viewed as suspicious either. I'm just saying that, I mean, why? I've been fighting for the awareness and acceptance of people with disabilities for this very thing for several years. And it's a fine time that happened to be July 3rd. I'm not superstitious with dates or anything like that, but 3 years ago today, July 3rd, 2021, I was, viewed weirdly, and then a couple minutes later I was followed by a silver pickup truck. In fact, I have a YouTube video from that day, but I just talk about it. And it all happened at the corner right there behind me. And then he levels with me, and he reported that I was making him feel uncomfortable doing what every other human being does, and then he purported that a lot of other people were feeling uncomfortable too, just for walking once around the library. And come to think about it, during the second hour, there's a person that walked up to us and asked if we were registered voters, or if I was a registered voter. So, I mean, there's tons of people going around by the library, and I was like the only one that was just doing what everyone does, and I wasn't like in the playground, I was adjacent to the playground, I wasn't making a lot of circles, I only made one circle, and I just don't understand what the problem is with living with autism, and that's why I am voicing this. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say on both sides of the spectrum, just let it go. Well, if I let it go, then this stuff is going to continue. I'm no different than a bully, and I know there's a lot of people who might end their life because of this. I'm strong enough, but I know there's a lot of people who might end their life or might have their life ended, if you know what I mean. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. As a person who knows what it feels like to lose somebody to suicide, that's why I'm trying to put an end to this. And I will do whatever I can, even if I have to work for the rest of my life, even if my life ends tomorrow. I'm not going to stop until I do my best in getting everyone to accept one another for who they are. And that's my big encouragement, and that's why I'm doing everything to get myself out there now, because I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. And that's why I've been trying for years to get things done at a fast rate, in case anyone wanted to know. That's why I've been trying hard to promote this message and to encourage other people to not give up on themselves and to advocate for themselves as long as they feel comfortable to. I'm not telling everyone that you have to be like a social media influencer like I am or anything like that, or at least as big, relatively speaking. I just want to be a voice for the voiceless. So anyway, that's why, and I hope no one else has any comments like that. I try to think of everything, but then again, I don't want to make this a long video, so I'll digress for right now and just hope for the best. And on a personal level, it is such a catharsis to be talking these things out. So if I don't make such a video, I'm like, I'm going to just hold it in for a long time, and unfortunately that's what I've been doing for like almost all my life. And that's why I'm telling people, like, don't bottle things up inside. And consequently, that's why I have empathy a lot for a lot of people, and people who have disabilities or people who are homeless. And I don't view anyone else as strange or anything, and from time to time I have opportunities to talk to the homeless people and have conversation with them. And so everything I just said is on my Bodycam, which is why I have Bodycam to begin with for 4 years now.
All right, Matthew, good to see you again.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm waiting for a couple of people to tutor.
Okay.
So it's
So
that
what-
one.
So what's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Matthew?
Here, Southern California.
How old are you?
28.
20.
Yeah, I'll be 29 on July 22nd.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what part of Southern California are you from, Matthew?
Well, here, like Orange County.
What part?
Yeah, I was born in, East Side,
You said what?
Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa?
Yeah.
You have kids?
No.
Can I ask you why you were approaching those children over there?
They recognized me from subbing for them. Yeah.
So you sub for you work at a grade school
For the district.
in the district? So you're a teacher?
Substitute teacher.
Substitute.
Yeah, so.
So you're just hanging out at the library waiting to tutor somebody, you say?
Yeah. Yeah, she reached out to me on Nextdoor yesterday, so.
Really? And how old is she?
The people I'm tutoring?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the mother said 8th grade and 10th grade.
Okay. So you always have the parents there when you teach the kids privately, then, yeah?
Yeah, I prefer that personally.
Yeah, you should. It's a good way to take care of it.
Definitely, yeah.
How often do you come here and do you tutor in the library?
Well, last Friday was the first time, but that was a different person. He was 12,
Okay.
but his grandmother was there. Here. And we've reserved a private one of those rooms up there for this Friday. So hopefully it'll be better than outside.
Yeah. Okay, Matthew. Well, it's nice to meet you, man.
It's nice to meet you too. And what's your name?
My name's Security Guard.
Oh, okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
I got one more question for you, man.
Yeah.
If you don't have children, why would you be hanging out on a playground?
If I don't have children?
You're hanging out on the playground. Why are you hanging out on the playground?
Oh, I was just walking around because I wasn't sure exactly where she was.
Okay.
Honestly.
So in the future, I'm going to say this. That looks suspicious to me for a grown man to be hanging out on a playground.
Okay.
Looks suspicious to other people too, if people noticed it. So in the future, if I were you, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate it, Matthew.
You're welcome.
Just know that I see you.
Okay. All right. Now, to the security guard's credit, I mean, I just met him today, and from my first, initial observation, I mean, he seems to be like a polite individual, and I just have this feeling like if we really knew each other, he would take back everything that he did and said to me today. And just to get this off of my chest, because, I'm not a hypocrite, I mean, release things. It's also fine timing that this happened around this time too, because July 1st or 2nd, 2023 last year, I was over at the Newport Pier, and this elderly gentleman started to laugh at me and cuss and cuss and cuss and cuss. And I'm like, seriously? Come on. And I just walked away and let it go, but it bothered me for months after, and it got so bad that as often they appeared in my dream one night. However, this dream I actually got to talk to both of them and explain what autism is, and they understood. Unfortunately, it was just a dream. So here's one of my conclusions or interpretations of this. I conclude that most likely he probably did not even believe me that I'm a substitute teacher and that I was there to tutor. I'm 99% sure. It's a question why there's a few people out there that look at me and other people like me and just assume the worst. And this person did not know, this gentleman did not know that I'm the author of 2 books. This one for sure mentions that library by name specifically. He obviously didn't recognize what I do for the news media and on social media. This is kind of why I'm pushing myself out there, because I want to be a voice for the voiceless, because this stuff is still happening today, and it's not just discrimination for people with autism or any disability, but there's just so much meanness and just people not being kind, and I'm like, come on, we're in the 21st century already. And that's why I'm going to push myself to continue to see how far I could get. I mean, just over 1 million followers on Instagram from around the world doesn't mean 8 billion people around the world. I know that numbers like 85,000 subscribers on YouTube and 56.7 thousand on TikTok and 1 million on Instagram are relatively low numbers, and I'm not on social media to be like this dance star or gamer or anybody like that. I'm on social media to see if I can make a difference and brighten people's days and make an encouragement. Also motivate other people to not give up on what they want to do, disability or not. And they may want to start a podcast, they may want to start a channel, they may want to get into teaching or rocket science even. And yes, more power to them, and I just want to motivate people. And in the meantime, I'm trying my best to be a voice for the voiceless, and that's why I'm advertising and doing everything I can for PR, for news media, and on social media. Because discrimination has got to stop. Is it ever going to stop 100%? Not in our lifetime. But I want to strive to see how far I could get and how far we together could get. And in all candor, for a diversity of reasons, I mean, I've had a lot of shock days recently. I'm just trying my best to hang loose and to be patient and know that one day I will get to that place where I'm speaking to a lot more people than I am now. Just to do my best in getting 8 billion people to realize there's more people than just the neurotypical. There are diversity of people out in the world, and we shouldn't discriminate based on something. I mean, heck, there's a lot of people out there that have doctorate degrees, and I mean, I have a master's in education and a couple of science degrees, and there's other people with autism, like Temple Grandin, who has like a doctorate degree. So not all of us lack intelligence. And for those who still struggle in school, I'm sure that they have a purpose just the way they are. And I forevermore root them on as long as it's practical. And to conclude with a plus, there were a couple of other students at a couple of other times in this hike who also said like hi to me, like hi Mr. Kensler. So I'm thankful that I'm not viewed as like a monster alien to everyone like some people do in this neighborhood, which is what I've been reporting for years. I mean, I have body cam evidence, which is why I've been carrying body cam for 4 years now for this very thing. And I have a sampler on YouTube showing tons of different forms of discrimination that I've had.
Hey, man.
You're the